Okay, this is really cool. And my wheelhouse is sports, as anybody that's watched the Bull of the Basements in the past and can see behind me all of
Oh
this
yeah.
kind of stuff. And the cool thing about this is that our guest in this episode of Bull of the Basement is an athlete, but more importantly is like Hannah, what would you call yourself at this point?
Oh, a retired athlete. Old. No, I was a tennis player. I played for the University of Wisconsin. I played briefly professionally before that. And someone told me once that stand-ups are either athletes or addicts. And I'm like, well, I fit in. Let's
Right?
go. And I actually find the road very similar to like playing professional tennis where you train all week. I'm doing sets all week in the city, and then you travel alone to a different place every weekend. And it's just like tennis, there's that variable of the other player. Is their backhand really good? Is their serve really good? And there's the variable of the audience. And not that the audience is necessarily shit, but like stand up is not just a solo performance, it's a dance. It takes two to tango.
For
So
sure.
I feel like very at home doing the stand up stuff because tennis was kind of how I grew up.
So boxes checked. This is good. Hannah Berner's on. You may know her from Summer House, which I've never seen, but I'll ask you a couple of things about that kind of roundabout. For people that don't know how you sort of, because that was, help me with this. Was that sort of your segue to stand up, or were you doing stand up before then and then now doing it full time? Like pre-post, like how did all that work, that timeline?
Great question. I wasn't one of those people who, like, at a young age was like, I'm going to be a stand-up comedian. I was very goofy. I was very silly, but I was 100% into becoming a professional tennis player. That's all I wanted to do. And I kind of like talking about it because it's like sometimes just because you're really good at something doesn't mean it's what you're meant to do long term. It's kind of like a relationship. Like sometimes in your 20s, someone's meant for you, but not in your 30s.
That's
And
right.
when I was young, like I had so much energy, and my parents were like, this girl has to go into tennis. Or I played every sport, but tennis is what we chose. And I love the individual aspect of it. And so basically, at the end of my collegiate career, I did some sports broadcasting for the University of Wisconsin, and I fell in love with being in front of the camera, and I love talking sports, and I also learned how to edit. So I would like do like men's basketball, and then I'd quickly cut up the highlight video, and I fell in love with that. But then I decided I wanted to go back to New York City. And I didn't want to go to a small market to work on being a sports broadcaster because I like missed my family, whatever. Long story short, I got into marketing, I got into sales. I just didn't like it though. Like I didn't feel inspired, and I don't know if you're into this, and I don't want to be all like spiritual warrior, but I did manifest that I wanted to do video. And when I say manifest, I don't mean I was like speaking in front of a mirror, writing in a journal. I just like decided consciously I want to do video. And in 2 years, I was on a TV show. And I think it's important. I do think it's important that like you just tell yourself what you want. Because then I say it's like in a relationship when you let's say break up with someone or they break up with you and you start seeing like everything that reminds you of them. That's what manifesting is. Put something in the forefront of your brain and you start seeing all the opportunities. And so my first gig was doing funny videos for this company called Betches, where I had like no experience. They were looking for someone with 5 years experience, but don't take jobs you're qualified for. I wrote basically like 100 video ideas. Not 100, I wrote like 30 video ideas. And I walked in and I was like, these are my ideas. Like, and they were like, you have no experience, but we'll bring you on freelance. And I was like, okay, now I'm on my path. And I started writing tweets for the brand. I was writing all the memes you see online. Like I was a person behind that. So it was like a joke writing class. I also started dating a stand-up randomly, was dating a stand-up and started falling in love with the scene and the people and the culture and the process. And I was like, wait, this guy makes money just like making people laugh all the time. Like, wow. So we didn't make it, but I think subconsciously I like fell in love with it. And then I randomly got asked to do Summer House, because I was kind of like doing interviews. I became a face on videos, and I was kind of known in New York City as a personality. But when you're working for a brand, you have to do their brand's voice. And I started to realize that like my own voice was way goofier, weirder. And I started writing my own tweets on my own Instagram, and they started to go viral. And people started to like my own voice. And that's why I thought Summer House was fun, because I could like expand on me. And I started a podcast right before, because I was like, look, I don't know what reality TV is going to show, but if you really like me, you can see like the real long, like complex me on Burning in Hell, where I talk to people about their demons in like a comedy pod. Long story short, the way I did stand up was Caroline's in New York City reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to do a live podcast? Because live podcasts were starting to become in.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend was like, dare you to do 10 minutes of stand up. And I was like, no, that's my ex's thing. Like, I don't know. And I was like, fine, I'll do it. I basically just took all my tweets of the last like 2 years, because I've been writing jokes, and tweets are interesting because some are just like a punchline. Some is not even a joke. It's just like a premise. But I took all the like thoughts I'd had, and I divided it into like, okay, these are jokes about eating. These are jokes about dating. These are jokes about cats. And I put my 10 minutes together. And that was the most fun part of the night for me. And a couple New York City comedians pulled me aside, and they were like, so my first time I did stand-up was 10 minutes in front of 250 people.
Damn.
Which now I realize is crazy, but at the time I was just, ignorance is bliss, right?
Sure.
But a bunch of stand-up comics came up to me and they were like, look, you have like real potential in this, but you can't half-ass it. If you want to be respected as a comic, you need to start grinding. And like, you need to say yes to every gig, and you need to play in front of people who aren't your fans. And like, we support you in this. And that was like really cool. But then it was time to bust my ass. So now we're here.
Well, I was going to say, listen, you do not lack for confidence. That's for sure. And I know that you're a caffeine junkie, and that probably plays into it too, which begs the question. I know you got into Buffalo. You did a show last night. Have you found some good coffee yet? I don't know where they put you up when you're in Buffalo.
Okay, so there's a place across the street that I'm gonna try, but also I do love animals. I rescued a senior pit bull during quarantine. I joke it means I'm better than everyone because I rescued a senior pit bull, and I also love cats. So I'm gonna go to a cat cafe. Like it's called Buckminster or something.
Yep.
And it was the people after the show that are like, if you love cats, did you go to this cat cafe, drink coffee, pet some cats? And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go. So I'm gonna do that.
Cool. That sounds good. Another one that's probably not far from you. Are you staying downtown someplace, I'm imagining?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Try Wonder Coffee. If anybody's asked or says anything, it's a cool little boutique coffee shop. And if not that spot, which is probably somewhere near you as well, another one of kind of like the longtime Buffalo boutique coffee shops that I think you would love.
When I travel, I do love like that morning coffee shop where you just like really feel the essence of the town. Like where you see the people coming in and how they engage. Like, I don't know. I just feel like that's better than going to like the nicest dinner place in the town. Like I want the coffee place where like you see just the people on their rituals and their routines.
Yeah, for sure. So this is so weird. You just brought up, you're going to the cat cafe. My cat, Charlie, just walked down the stairs into Bull in the basement. You can't see her. She's meowing as we speak.
Oh my God. Charlie
but just weird.
Heard that I was a fan.
That's right. Very weird. But cool at the same time.
I think it's very special when men love cats. It means they're good at boundaries and they can take rejection.
Debatable. I'm actually allergic to cats, but Charlie I've had for like 15 years. She's a dream cat. Like we also have a dog, but I am dreading the fact when I lose Charlie, because Charlie is like, she's almost dog-like. She answers to my call. Mm-hmm. She tells me exactly when she wants to do what she wants to do, and when she doesn't want to do, she lets me know. She's incredibly snuggly. I mean, oh my God, I could go on and on about Charlie.
Cats don't like necessarily trust everyone, but when they trust you, like I have a joke in my stand-up that cats and dogs both know their names. Cats just choose not to respond when they talk to you. Which is like so fucking badass. But yeah, when the cat decides that they trust you, like they will be like a dog to you.
For sure.
But yeah, I was So I've never been to Buffalo.
I was going to
And
ask you about that. Yeah.
and I'm very like New York City stupid with like demographics and stuff. Like I didn't even look at a map before I got here. And my connecting flight was in Detroit. And I was like, that seems off. Like that seems weird, but whatever. And then at some point I got a text like, you're in Canada. And I'm like, where the fuck am I? So then I got in and it was funny because I asked people like about Niagara Falls. I was like, do you guys go all the time? And they were like, no. And I was like, oh, is it like New York City, like going to Times Square for people in Buffalo? And they were like, kind of. I'm just like immersing myself in learning about what the real culture is. So I'm very excited to be on today.
Yeah, whoever you talked to was 1000% right. Here we have one of the wonders of the world in our backyard, and I can't tell you the last time I was at Niagara Falls.
No, it's like Times Square. It's like I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, but it's cool.
Right, it's cool. A thing. It's a thing. Actually, we're sort of saddled with it because you're a sports fan. So every time they show a Bills game, at some point in the broadcast, there's Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls is literally like 45 minutes from you. It's not like Buffalo. It's its own place. But people just whatever think, well, we're Buffalo and we're by the Canadian border. And
when I arrived, it says Buffalo, Niagara. And I'm like, okay, am I in Buffalo or Niagara? What's happening? Which confused me. And then people were like, okay, I was like, where can I get buffalo wings? They were like, you don't call it buffalo wings, you just call it wings.
That's right.
I was like, okay, noted. And then someone was like, look, next show, just say go Bills at some point. And people get fucking pumped up.
Oh my God.
Like, thank you. Good note.
Yep. To say go Bills. I mean, here's the other thing. Because I know you like to party a little bit. You're a sports fan. I don't know what your schedule looks like, but if there's a way you can get to the Bills tailgate on Sunday morning, I know. Holy crap. I'm telling you, it's the best tailgate. I know college tailgate, Wisconsin's tailgate has got to be off the charts, I'm sure. Yeah. And Camp Randall and jump around and all that stuff. It's got to be bananas. Of course, I've never been. It's on my bucket list. But like the Bills tailgate, I'm sure you've seen the people jumping through the tables and all of that. I mean, it is bananas. So if you want to go, I don't know if you have somebody you can take you or whatever. Holy crap. It's something you will remember for the rest of your life. I guarantee you.
Amazing. Well, I did do fantasy football and I forget a couple years ago and I forget, but I did have some Bills players and I was like very into watching them for a bit. And it's weird because I'm actually, so as a tennis player, I grew up, I actually played doubles a bit with Jess Pagula.
I was going to just ask you that. Yeah.
Familiar? So she randomly, like I practiced with her a bit for like a couple tournaments and she was like very on the up and up and she's exploded and they keep being like, oh, her family owns the Bills
and the Sabres. That's right. Yes, both.
So are they like royalty in Buffalo?
Oh my God, yeah. Oh yeah. And she's never in Buffalo because she's always on the tour. So we very rarely see her. She was on the Olympic team.
Like so respected. And she's always been she wasn't one of the flashy girls coming up. Like there's some girls who at a young age, like 11, they're like, she's going to be a star. They give her all the sponsors. She lay low. Like she was under the radar and just like working on her game. And I remember when I hit with her, she had this precision that was like freaky. Like I remember her slice backhand was just like perfect every time. And I'm like, but she wasn't winning like everything.
Right.
And she was one of those players that like at an older age, it all came together mentally and physically. And like, go Bills, Jessica, go Bills.
I feel like, I don't know about you, and I've been doing any, types of media forever. And I get nervous a lot before I'm going on stage. But you, I mean, you've done reality TV, you've done stand-up, and you've played tennis, and all in front of different kind of audiences. But you seem to be so chill and so kind of like go with it that I'm anticipating you. Are nerves a part of you at all, or you just roll?
It's so funny because I actually suffered from pretty bad performance anxiety with tennis. Like, because
you're seeing that come out a lot now with like Naomi Osaka and all that. And
and I do think, because think about it, at 11 years old, I have like a ton of pressure to win, to like go pro, scholarships, and also like your parents are financing it, which is like a lot of pressure for the family, where like coaches are still like, hey, she needs more training to go pro, she needs more training. And I had moments in my career where I'd get the yips. I was playing number 1 for University of Wisconsin, and one year like I was changing my grip on my second serve and I just lost it. Like I couldn't hit a second serve. It's the kind of thing where like you think of your biggest fear, like what's the worst thing that could happen this season? Me losing my second serve. And then you like watch it happen. And I battled, like I always got on the court. But that's why I'm kind of jealous of like Naomi and Simone. I'm like, wait, you could just not do it? Because I suffered the whole time.
Right,
But
right.
I would always show up. And I think that with tennis, I not to get deep, but after all of it, when I decided not to continue playing on the tour, I was like, why did I put all this effort into this sport that like I couldn't mentally like really own? And then I realized like it just wasn't my ultimate path, because when I do comedy, I'm like in alignment. Like I'll get nerves if like a specific industry person's there, or like something in the club is fucked up and like my family's there and I feel like it's not being managed well. I'll get like anxious. But those are all like very normal nerves, where tennis,
Yeah.
I would deal with like bad anxiety. And I think that tennis also helped me have perspective, where like, okay, it's not 5-all in a third set against Duke and the whole team's win is on the line. I'm like, I see this as more a creative expression. And I also don't have my ego attached to it too much, where it's like, no one's depending on me to be a stand-up. Like this is something that I just like fell into and it's been natural for me.
And you
And
love.
yes, and I don't put expectations on myself. I think of everything as like a learning experience. And I also have a weird like, some things I will not take risks with. Like sometimes I have social anxiety and like other people will be like, oh, let's do this. And I'm like, I can't do it. We're like talking in front of 400 people. That's a risk I love to take, if that makes sense. So it's not that I'm
100.
like have confidence in every way. I just weirdly have confidence with specific things.
So do you play pickup tennis ever? Like
I
just
do.
yeah.
I do. So I had like a couple years away from the sport, a couple years, because I was, you're working out every single day. I mean, in college tennis, it's pretty much on the lowest totem pole of the sport. So like we're getting the 6 a.m. gym times. The men's basketball is rolling in at 9, we're 6 a.m. gym times. Like you're playing 6 hours a day. You're also not getting like a big fan base. So there isn't like a moment where you're like, oh, this is not worth it. Like it's all for you and your team. And you only get 1 day a week during college, and that day is Monday when you have classes. So like you really don't have an off day. So I remember just being so burnt out by the end and being like, I don't want to touch a racket. I don't want to go to the gym for like at least 2 years. And now in the comedy community, there's actually like Michael Costa on The Daily Show
Yeah.
was a tennis player for University of Illinois, and he hit me up and we started to play for a bit. And then there's some other players in the comedy scene that I've been playing with that played in college, and it's been like I realized like I really do love the game. I love, like I would rather play tennis any day than go to the gym. So whenever I could play tennis now, I do it, and I surprisingly I'm playing quite well.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, do you play that rule where like, oh, you play yeah, I play tennis. You want to play tennis? And then you completely like they don't know your background and you smash them and it's not even close. And there's some place in your brain that says, man, I should have bet $100 with this person on this match, like
Well, it's funny because tennis is people don't understand like the levels of tennis. Where like if you played high school tennis, it's not the same as like playing with someone who played like D1 or professional. So most people understand, like if I talk to someone who played D1 or professionally, we're like, okay, we have to hit. But if people are like, oh my God, I played in college, do you want to play? I'm like, it's not gonna be fun. Like even guys who,
so you
like,
don't
when I
take it
was
easy on
little,
them at all. You're still playing balls to the wall.
I don't play tennis to half-ass it. Like I'm playing to play hard. And I mean, I had a guy on the University of Wisconsin basketball team who was like, I played tennis in high school, let's play. And I was like, and he's 6'9", and I was like, let's go.
Do we know his
And
name? Can you
yeah,
drop the name?
Mike Bruzewitz, he was
Okay,
my
don't know
friend.
him. Okay.
He had this like red afro.
Yeah.
It was in like 2009 to 2013 he played. Like they fear the fro, like that was the whole thing. Like he did great. He was like a great 3-point shooter and great energy. Yeah, I rocked his ass. 6'11", 6'11", 6'11". He made play
Nice.
through that. And I was like, okay, because sometimes people don't have this like respect for the sport sometimes. And I'm like, no offense, like I love football, but like you guys could play basketball all high school and then get a full scholarship to football, because it's about like being athletic freaks, where tennis is like very skill oriented, and like you can't play two sports while playing tennis. Like you can't even take up more than 2 months off. So I demanded respect, and he definitely understood afterward.
He never played with you again.
No,
So Hannah Berner's on with us, and if you didn't know, it's Summer House Bravo. Look that up, and most of you that are seeing this maybe already know that about her. And again, I've never seen the show. I didn't know what it was all about, and just by hearing the title and reading very little about it, it sounded like it was like Jersey Shore, Big Brother, and Bachelor in Paradise, like all in one. Is that pretty accurate?
you kind of nailed it. You kind of nailed it. The one thing that
So I
like,
don't have to watch it.
no, the one thing I enjoyed is during the week, it would kind of show us as like New Yorkers, and it would show our job. So I like that they would show that I do podcasting. They filmed some of my stand-up, but it never made the cut. But I like that. But then the last season it was in quarantine. So we just like were stuck in a house for 6 weeks, and it was brutal.
It was what you'd expect a bunch of people being stuck in a house for 6 weeks.
Yeah, like during a global pandemic where
Right.
like, so it wasn't like those other 2 seasons, which I enjoyed more. But reality TV was something that it's like, when they proposed it, I was like, why not? I never thought I would do reality TV. I definitely like didn't see myself doing like competition dating shows. I thought that was weird, but like something about this seemed like like I grew up going out to the Hamptons to play tennis and golf. So I was like, this is kind of me. And but when you're 26 and single, it works. But then now I'm 30, I'm engaged, I'm like obsessed with doing stand-up. And so it was like a great kind of experience in entertainment that was actually very hard, because you're not in control, but you're trying to just like make the best show possible.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but like, how hard was it to live with cameras around all the time? Like I every time there's a camera anywhere near me, I feel like I have to talk to the camera, I have to address the camera, I have to act, right?
Yeah.
So how long did you get over if you ever had to, oh my God, there's a camera, I better act this way or do this a particular way, and not just live? Was that a
So what happens is you start like that, where you're like, okay, I gotta be a type of way. And some people are good at being fake. Like honestly, the best people on reality TV are the best at just like being fake. But I will like the first I can't emotionally keep it up to like not just let go. And at some point you just have to let go. And I just, in my head, I went into it not trying to be aspirational. Like I wasn't trying to be perfect. I wasn't trying to be on and people would be like, I want to be like Hannah. I wanted to show that especially like women in the media could be complex. Like you're not just like the hot girl or like the hot mess or like the emotional one. Like you could be all three. You could be like hot and depressed, and you could be athletic and sexy, and you could be like anxious and funny. And I tried to like express that, and I feel like a lot of people like discovered me from that, and then were like, oh, I actually like her podcast and her stand-up. And now I'm kind of in this place where a lot of people who like Summer House come to my shows, and then they're like, wait, this is what you're meant to do.
right?
So I'm in like a transition phase that I've been really enjoying.
So what's next for you? I mean, are there, or is there movies coming, or is there a TV pilot? I talk to people like you all the time, and they always say, well, we're working on some of these projects. There's a Netflix thing that might be going on, but I really can't get into too much detail. So what's your story beyond just stand up, or are you just focused on stand up right now?
Right now I'm focused on stand up. I have 2 podcasts, Giggly Squad and Burning in Hell. And I also, sometimes I feel like having too specific goals is like limiting. Like if I'm like, I need to have a TV show on Netflix, I find in this industry, like you can't control that shit. You just have to like keep working hard, keep putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Like I love to have like maybe a comedy acting show, that would be fucking awesome. But I love to like maybe have a new hosting gig, that would be awesome. But right now it's like
just the stand up.
I want to get my stand up to like just keep getting better and better, and feel like
you want to read a level.
When opportunities knock, I want to be like at my prime time. I approach it like sports, where I'm like, I'm training.
Yeah.
I'm training now because I just
love it.
I'm transitioning out of like focusing on reality TV to now being able to do what I love.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love your energy. I love your confidence. And you have sold me on being a fan.
Hell yeah. Thank you,
Um,
Paul.
buffalo.heliumcomedy.com to see Hannah Berner this weekend in downtown
The
Buffalo.
shows are going to be, as they say, lit. Like people are hammered and having fun, and like the energy is just going to be fucking crazy. And if guy or girl come through, because there's a ton of beautiful women, and then there's also like a ton of boyfriends that enjoy it as well, and a ton of single girls that need suitors. So get your ass there.
Beautiful. Being Burns with a Z on Instagram, yep. And then at Being Burns on Twitter as well is where you can find Hannah Berner. Really appreciate you doing this. Enjoy your time in Buffalo, and hopefully at some point down the road we'll be able to catch up again. And great luck with everything.
Oh yeah, thanks so much, Bill.
You got it. Take it easy.